So Jesse will no longer be part of the Big Break Show with us. So we decided to get a new co-host in here, and I'm extremely excited about it because starting today, he will be my co-host. I'm extremely pumped to have you here, brother.
Welcome to The Big Break Show, your go-to podcast for real estate investing, business acquisition, mindset, and lifestyle. Now, let's dive into Season 2 with your hosts, Rafa Loza and Dan Tollens.
All right, guys, welcome to another episode of The Big Break Show. And we have some exciting news for you guys. Some of you might have already heard. Some of you have no idea. Some of you haven't heard us in forever, and now you're trying to get back into it. So Jesse will no longer be part of the Big Break Show with us. He's too busy and can't be a part anymore. So we decided to get a new co-host in here, and I'm extremely excited about it because my good friend, Mr. Dan Tollens, will be the one taking over the show with me, and he will now be the co-host of the Big Break Show with me. Starting today, he will be my co-host, and we will be doing a new segment into part 2 of the Big Break. We want to continue giving you guys value and providing better insights to different things around our investment strategies, the way we live, our lifestyle, our mindset, and we want to add value to you for anything specific as the listener or viewer in terms of what you want to learn or what you want us to talk about. So we've been spitballing some ideas here, but before we get into any of that, I want to give you guys a chance to meet Mr. Dan Tollens. So Dan, man, extremely excited to have you on here. I can't wait for the stuff that we're going to be doing. I mean, I think we're going to fucking crush this thing. I think we're going to take it to the next level. We're going to be able to add value. You come from a sports background. I mean, you're crushing it in real estate investing, business investing. I mean, we might even be neighbors at the end of this year, right? Moving out to North Carolina. So I'm extremely pumped to have you here, brother. Let the listeners know a little bit about you. Now, don't go in too much into detail because we're going to have a whole episode just about your background and who you are. Today, we just want everybody to kind of know the big news and share details of your life and what this new segment of the Big Break Show is going to be about.
Yeah, dig it, man. Well, Rafa, like we've been talking about, this is going to be, next level. And kind of like we also had go into part 2 or pivot or whatever. So we're expanding on so many more things other than just midterm rentals. So, my background, like you said, grew up playing sports and went to college, graduated, and didn't know what the hell I was going to do with myself, and ended up getting into construction, and that turned into getting into real estate and property management, which is still in real estate, and then back into construction and rehab and fix and flipping and doing it for people, and eventually, started doing it for ourselves. And long story short, now here we are a few years later, and we're not doing as many fix and flips, but we're doing a lot of new construction, land development, and most importantly, the boutique hotels. So we tried apartments, we tried self-storage, and this is really what moved the needle for us and helped us get from Charleston, South Carolina, up to Carolina Beach, North Carolina. So a lot of different opportunities here that were not available in Charleston, and we kind of saw where things were trending a little bit sooner than other folks there. So we were able to get out of there and get here to the beach. So living the good life, brother.
Dude, and let me tell you, the good life is right. Because when I went up there the last time to do that boat ride, you took us on that shit. Awesome. So, I can't wait to go back out there again in May. But okay. Yeah, dude, listen, I'm honestly excited to have you here. When we talked about this, when we last hung out and we brought up the idea of you being the co-host, I was like, this will be awesome because you can add so much value to our listeners from every aspect of real estate. I mean, the original idea for this podcast was short-term rentals, right? Midterm rentals, the lifestyle mindset, real estate investing, and kind of everything in between. And now we want to transition it to still keep it around that investing mindset, but we don't want to focus only around short-term rentals anymore. We're both doing different things around that space. We can still talk about the midterm rental space a little bit. I mean, I still have all the knowledge about that. But the biggest part is I like the idea of bringing in different people from different aspects of that entrepreneurial journey, right? Where, for example, you with the basketball background to now an investing background. Like, is that something that you ever thought of doing when you were playing ball back in the day, or is it just something that kind of happened? Like, let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah, no, that just kind of organically happened. Went to college, finished up Had no idea after graduation what I was going to do. Moved back to Charleston and got with a buddy of mine. I was like, man, I got to figure out, what the heck I'm going to do with myself. He's like, man, go talk to this fella. He had kind of been around the high school program when I was there. But again, when you're 15, 16, 17 years old, there's a lot of, you're so self-absorbed, you're not even really paying attention to who's around you. And got linked up with this guy and told him, what was going on. And he said, well, you should probably, get involved with these apartments we're converting. Because back when this was in Charleston, there's a lot of these condo conversions from apartments to condos, and then they'd sell it all off in one day. And so that's kind of where I got my start with construction, and then eventually got into did some sales for a little while. It wasn't really my bag, and then got into managing their fix and flips for their TV show called Flip This House. It's actually the very first TV show about flipping houses. So I'd manage their job sites or manage their flips, and then just kind of went from there. Again, a lot of things we'll say, during our journey, certain relationships kind of run their course, where you kind of max out what you're getting out of that relationship, or financially or otherwise.
I wanted not to dive deep into your life today because we want to do a separate show, but what the hell? Let's just talk about it now because that's kind of intriguing. I know that you made your own show on your YouTube channel, right? The Coastal Chronicles. Did you get that idea from that TV show flipping show? That TV flipping show?
Yeah. I mean, that was kind of the gist of it. Was that show was strictly about flipping houses, and there's a ton of other shows that have been successful, and we wanted to do something a little bit unique, and we funded it all ourselves. Didn't really spend a whole lot of money branding it or pushing it out or marketing much, but it was more of something for us to kind of help teach people along the way. Hey, here's how you get started, and then how do you do different things, and not just only the flipping process, but where do you find the money, and how do you build your team, and then what do you do when you start making money? You start hanging on to things, and then let's talk about symbiotic business. So that's how we started the dumpster business, and so many other parts of it, and then talked about being willing to move and also getting into hotels. But yeah, that was kind of the the gist of it was off of that premise, and just wanted to put our own spin on it.
And listen, for the listeners and the viewers that don't know this, this is why I was so excited to bring Dan on, because man, this guy's just a wealth of knowledge. And if you don't know, go and check out his YouTube channel, look up Coastal Chronicles. And it's like eight episodes. How long is the series?
Yeah, I think there's 6 or 7 episodes, and they're 16 to 20 minutes long, so no commercials.
And I'm telling you guys, these are like legitimate TV show episodes. Like, they're badass. I've seen a couple of them. I thought there was way more than that, but the value that you bring is awesome, dude. And again, whoever's listening to this and wants to learn a little bit more about Dan and see what he's about, kind of vet him a little bit, that's where you can go and start and check it out. It's beautifully done. Production is great. And you talk about all your investment stuff. So Dan, I guess let's just dive into it. Fuck it. Let's just do it. Let's just tell everybody what you're about. Let's tell everybody about, you already talked about your backstory, how you got into investing, the flipping thing, the boutique hotels. We're going to do an entire episode only about boutique hotels from Dan's perspective. He does from rehab, purchasing, rehab, value add, doing all the work to getting these things top notch. And let me tell you, I've stayed in one of them, and they're absolutely beautiful. So Dan, let's talk about first, before we get into that, what we plan on bringing to the show, what the value is that we're going to be adding, and then kind of what the ideas are. And then we can kind of let the listeners and viewers tell us a little bit if they like it, they don't like it, what they want us to bring on and not.
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, you guys have done a great job of building the foundation. And, the next part of that is, let's say, folks have been listening to you guys since day one, and they've picked it up, and they're like, all right, what's the next phase? What's the next step? And so I think that's where, for us, we want to continue to advance. And as we go, we want to, share what we have going on and how we've gotten there and how we've done things together. And, I think the other part, that we're going to continue to expand on is all the different demographics that are in, not only real estate, but business acquisitions and, all the different walks of life and all the fitness stuff and all of that. And the other thing is something that's close to my heart is we want to bring in folks that have, been involved in athletics in some form or fashion. And, what do you do, life after basketball, life after football, life after gymnastics or whatever it is, or kind of that transition from, college life to professional life, and, just giving people that voice, but also hearing, from very successful people that, what it is that they've done and how they've kind of transitioned. And, we have credibility in ourselves, between you and I, but there's also, plenty of other folks in our network that we'd like to expand on and give them, a chance to kind of tell their story. We can learn a little bit and give them a little bit more exposure, and obviously it'll be an open conversation, so they'll probably learn a lot too.
So the thing I'm most excited about is a transition from talking about short-term rentals, mindset, entrepreneurs, to now transitioning to investing, different lifestyles towards investing in entrepreneurs. The sports thing is a huge thing for me. I'm very excited to talk to people in your network about how their journey's been. I mean, this is still called a big break, right? So we want to know what was people's big breaks, not necessarily what was that one defining moment anymore, but more of like, how did you transition from what you were doing prior to what you're doing now? And what is it that you're an expert in now? And what was that defining moment that made you that expert in this field? Like, that's kind of where I'm thinking I want to take it a little bit, because we've brought in a ton of interviews in the past. We've done 70 something episodes now. So actually not even that many. I think we're like on 50 something episodes, but it was always interviews about people's expertise and then kind of asking what was their big break. Now, we're not going to make a lot of changes around that, guys. We're still going to ask what the big break was. We still want to give an actionable step for you listeners, and we still want to be able to ask what's the best advice they've ever received. Because if you learn from other people's advice and you apply it to your life, someone might resonate with it and might be able to do something with it. But I am significantly trying to improve the value that we're adding to everybody here by bringing on higher caliber speakers, better interviews, better questions. And we're going to take this and we're going to make it a professional podcast. We're going to have scripted questions that we're going to ask, right? We're going to want to make sure that we're adding value to the entire conversation, not just the boring conversation. You might be bringing someone on that's extremely knowledgeable, but then the interviewer doesn't know what to ask. We want to take it to that point where we're asking intentional questions to maximize the 1 hour time that we have with these guys and gals, of course, and trying to make sure that you guys, the listeners and viewers, get the full value that you're supposed to be getting by putting in the time to listen to us for an entire hour. We also don't want to waste your time, and we want to make sure you get value out of it. So with that being said, if you're still listening and you're excited about this, it would be amazing. Shoot us an email, shoot us a comment below if you're watching this on YouTube, but you can email us at thebigbreakshow2021@gmail.com with ideas, suggestions, speakers you want to listen to, people you think we should add onto the show. Now listen, we're going to put some money into this. So if it costs us money to bring speakers, we're going to do it. We're going to put some ad dollars behind this to make sure you guys are getting value. We want to make it a professional podcast with actual value and knowledge being added to the listeners, not just another boring old conversation where you get bored 10 minutes into it and then you're out, right? We want to make sure you stay engaged. If you have ideas, suggestions, this is how we're going to do it. And if you think you are somebody that we could interview and you can add value to our listeners, again, thebigbreakshow2021@gmail.com. Shoot us an email. We're very happy to talk to you. Make sure they can do it now. If you're just trying to come in and pitch a course, don't email me because it's not going to happen, right? But all jokes aside, we're excited about this. Dan, I mean, honestly, man, I think this is going to be fun. We are trying to, when we go out there to Carolina Beach, I'm going to take my equipment so that we can record a live podcast, get some photos and stuff like that, so we can kind of do a little bit of a rebrand around it also. But what do you think? Should we schedule up a live interview while we're there? What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. There's a few folks here that are local we could bring in, or just get you and I in the same room and figure out who who's going to fit the bill. I think you did touch on something that I think's imperative for people to know is, even if you're trying to become an entrepreneur, you're trying to figure out, what are the steps. I think one of the key things to be successful is having entrepreneurs, right? Which is somebody that doesn't really want to take the risk, but they believe in your vision. They believe in you. They believe that you're going to, write the right story and take them down the right path. And again, they don't want to have the financial responsibility or the risk or the stress. And I think we could do a whole thing just touching on just our operations of, who are those key players within our teams. That way, again, it continues to prove credibility from, bringing in Cassie, who does all of our, all of our operations, and some of her team members. And one of the guys that runs the dumpster business for us, I think would be good as well. And you can just talk about, people that are on your team, just so people can kind of get a whole feel of, what exactly it is. And it's not just simply a one-man show or one female show or whatever. So, that's just something else we could dive into.
No, and I'm so happy and glad you brought that up. Listen, that's a great idea, because if you guys just caught what Dan said, we're going to give you guys away all our operations. If you take notes during these episodes, you'll know who's managing what, how they're managing it, how they're hiring, how they're firing, what the roles are, what their day looks like. I mean, we're talking about entrepreneurs, people who want to work in the business to help us grow it, but don't want to take the risk to build the business themselves. They just want to be part of a good organization that they can help grow, feel a part of the culture, be a part of the culture, and help expand and make it the brand that we want it to be. I'm open to that, man. I'll give everything away. Everybody that listens to me knows I give all the information for free. Yeah. I had the course. I gave the course away for free. Any questions, guys, again, around operations, systems, processes that you guys want to know, we're open books. And when we bring our operations in team in here, and our managers and our partners into these conversations, that's the time. If you email us ahead of time to ask those questions, we can ask them for you. Otherwise, we ask what we think will be the value that you guys will get out of it. But Dan, that's a great freaking idea, man.
Yeah, I think one of the other things that just was kind of like a fresh reminder when we were in California with you guys was, that room of the business acquisition folks. It was all, you got operators, you got money, you got just, investors, you've got, people that just simply want to buy themselves a job, or somebody that just wants to be the operator. They want to pair up with somebody that wants to be the investor, somebody else that just wants to, work in the business, 1 hour a week or less. Then you've got other folks that are only doing the underwriting. So, there's so many different things that you can intertwine sports with this same exact model. And that's why, for me, it's just, it's just been a seamless transition. Now, we haven't, I'm not going to sit here and say we hadn't had a lot of lumps along the way, but, you don't always start over from zero. So, but yeah, I think for sure it's just really peeling things back and, just letting people know at the end of the day, you got to do the work, right? It's not just, all right, well, this must be nice, but it is now, but it wasn't. Yeah. There's been a lot of ugly things along the way. And, when one door closes, another window opens, right? So don't just focus on this ended opportunity. Let's focus on this new thing in front of you.
And listen, we're going to do a lot of lifestyle episodes, right? Talking about our lifestyle, the things we're able to enjoy. I mean, I've traveled a ton since 2022 to where we're at today. I mean, almost every single month I'm going on a crazy trip, right? I'm going to be in Ireland for the month of October. And I want the listeners to understand, we get to live this really cool lifestyle because we've built the foundation. We've put in the years of effort. We've worked hard to get to where we're at. We don't want everybody to think we're just some snobby dudes up here showing off what we're doing now. We want you guys to understand that we want to be able to share these experiences with you guys, the listeners and viewers, as we do them. Because, I mean, who does like?
Well, we want to streamline it for them. We want to streamline this experience for them. Well, let us help you save years of your life. Whatever it is that you're trying to get into. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if it's something that we're not experts in, I'm guarantee you somebody in our network is. If it's anywhere from, like I said, apartments, self-storage, real estate, selling cars, selling insurance. I mean, coaching professional sports. I mean, you name it, they're doing it. Those are all people that are, people that are teaching people how to live healthy and through blood work and workouts and diet and all those different things. I mean, you name it. We've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to have these people in our network.
Yeah. And everybody that listens to the show knows that I'm huge about masterminds and networks, and, network is your net worth. I mean, we literally we don't say this lightly, we have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to be around people in our network that we literally have at the call of a button, on our phones here. And so we can answer any question. Literally, I can't think of a topic we can't call someone to ask about. I mean, I know billionaires I know people who are just regular people who enjoy their life because they've already retired and are living great, right? It's not about money. It's about knowledge. It's about knowing what to do and how to answer that question that can save your time as a listener, as opposed to having to go figure it out yourself, right? If you want to get started in buying a house, we know who can help you, and we can bring them on, interview them, and ask the right questions, right? So again, questions, topics, anything you guys have, leave a comment and shoot us an email. I can't stress that enough. We want to add the value that we can to you guys. We just don't want to be another boring interview questions. We want to be able to answer even if you're just one person and you think we're not going to get to you, we will. Trust me. If we change one person's lives, that makes this entire show worth it. Simple as that.
Yeah, the other thing we'll touch on is something that you and I are both doing this year with lofty goals are buying businesses of some sort of service-based business. And you got folks that are, well, I'll just start one up. Okay, I mean, you can do that, but let's look at what it looks like to buy something that's already existing with an existing client base, existing team, and all you got to do is put X amount of dollars into it, which you can borrow or have yourself or raise and bring in a partner. There's so many different ways, and just people have so many limited beliefs that we just want to just share all that as we go through it. And like you said, for us buying these boutique hotels, they've all been functioning operational businesses that there was, I would say all of them except for one, we've completely rebranded. One of them was doing well enough that we just simply painted and updated the furniture and remote door locks and just kind of cleaned up the operations and bumped rents a little bit, but or nightly rates, whatever. But then the other ones were, the reason we got them so affordable was that they were not doing so well and the type of guests that they were having. So there's just a lot of information for us to kind of go over, but when you're buying something like that, it's a totally different experience than the service-based businesses that we're looking to do. So,
and I'm glad you brought that up also, dude. I keep forgetting about these things because my biggest goal for 2024 is to buy a business by the end of the year, right? And so that's my entire shift now away from the arbitrage and the short-term rentals. And I still want to buy a boutique hotel. That's another one that's still in my radar here. But my biggest goal for this year is to buy a business by 2024. And something you said that's really key that I don't want everybody to just go over their head is, yeah, you could start up a business, guys. You can. And you can invest $100,000 into starting up your business. Or you can take those $100,000 and buy an already operational business that's already working, that you can come in and fine tune. Doesn't matter who you are. There's always value that you can add and make that business better and have instant cash flow by the end of the year. When I found out about this last year, I was like, I kind of feel like I found a life hack. This is a shortcut to everything I've ever wanted to do. Like I've been building the short-term rental business for 7 years and I can go buy one already operational. What the hell am I doing? Right. That's a 7-year shortcut. And like you said, I don't need to pay the money out of pocket. I can find an investor. I can find a partner, right? I'd be like, yo, Dan, you got money? I need to fucking start this. I need to buy this business. They need $150,000. Let's partner up, right? I run it, right? You provide the funds. Let's buy it together. And now we have an operational business that saves us 7 years of time. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why I never thought about that before. I guess, it's one of these things, again, when you don't know what you don't know. And when you find out about certain things that just make your life so much easier, it's like, wow, why didn't I think of that or do this before? So,
well, just limited mindset and, the way that, that we've been brought up and what's been, quote unquote, normalized versus, not. We don't want to be normal. You know what I mean? What else do we want to kind of dive into?
Well, definitely we want to do the lifestyle stuff. Like I want to talk about trips we're taking, how we're changing our life, the health things that we're doing. Let's dive into that stuff. We can do an episode. Like I also don't want this to become just another, every episode is an interview episode. Let's talk about stuff that we're doing, right? Fun projects. For example, next week's episode is going to be you diving deep into the hotels, giving a complete deep dive about what it is that you do, how you do it, what do you got going on? I mean, what are you on your 4th hotel, right? Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, dude, people pay thousands of dollars to go to these hotel seminars and they join Masterminds. And like, if they just listen to this podcast, they're going to get a ton of knowledge from you next week, right? So, let's talk about that for sure. But more than anything, let's do an episode based around health and fitness and like what our goals are. We all fall off the wagon from time to time, right? Like you said, right? you were playing sports for so long and then you fell off and then you stopped playing and then you start working out again. And now you're back on this lifestyle track that you're trying to change, right? Like the 10,000 steps every day that you were talking about. Eating cleaner, eating healthier, cutting out a lot of crap from our diets, life longevity. I want to focus around that for a while. I want to be able to dive into that for a while. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I'd love to. Absolutely. I mean, we had things going really, really well for a long time and hit a little bump, but that's part of having the right people in your circle is to hold you accountable and get you back on track sooner.
Well, we're humans,
Want to dive into that. And, the thing is being able to sustain it during travel. And I think, also talking about the lifestyle portion of it, again, is not necessarily, trying to be, braggadocious. It's just, hey, listen, this is what we all have different wants and needs. And, whether you got kids or pets or whatever your job is, it's, we all have different goals. But it's just like, hey, this is what's possible. And, I think for me, I'm a very goal-driven person. So once I kind of have a target, one of our partners is a banker, and he's always talking about, if we can just get to X, Y, and Z, I'm like, just what's the number? All right, we got to come up with, $300,000 in 2 weeks. Okay. Or, 90 days, whatever it is, to try to retain as much equity as we can, versus bringing in somebody that's, going to want 30% for not quite 30% of what it's worth to give that money away.
Yeah, I think that's key too. I think we should have a episode, maybe a short one, just about figuring out finances and deal structuring and creative finance. And because a lot of people think when you raise money, you got to give away the deal or give away the equity. And when you really don't, you can raise debt, right? And for those of you that don't know, raising debt means you just raise money and you just pay a percentage of interest on that money instead of having to give an equity piece on that money for any deal that you're working on. I mean, there's so many different strategies. I think that's a great idea. We've never actually talked about that on this, on the show before. Deal structure. I think we should definitely do something like that in the future as well. Yeah,
for sure. And I think that's maybe, one of our mutual friends, that's, something that Austin is extremely good at. Maybe we could have him back on and kind of dive into just that different side of thing. I think that's the other thing is you've had so many great guests along the way already that maybe if we just kind of hone in on certain pieces of certain conversations or just touch base with, hey, where are you now a year later? And, here's the topics that we want to kind of talk about. Like you said, very structured, let them be somewhat prepared and not just catch them off guard on certain things. And, there's certain people in certain positions that don't, they simply just can't answer certain questions. So I think that's the other part of it is, bringing on quality guests and, having them fully prepared to get into whatever it is we want to get into.
Yeah. I think that's key too, because sometimes we bring some people in here that don't want to talk about certain things, and I'm like, well, then, if you're not willing to be transparent on the show, then probably shouldn't have you on the show, because the idea here is to be fully transparent, right? There's nothing that nobody should be willing to hide. I mean, I go through ups and downs in my business. I talk about it all the time. With the good comes the bad, and with the bad comes the good, right? And if people are going to hide the bad and always want to talk about the good only, then that's kind of an issue. And as well as if they're being shysty kind of with the information they're given, like how good of I don't want to say a person are you, but how good are your intentions, right? Are you here for a certain intention to just put your name out, but you don't really want to add value? That's not really it doesn't align with the show and what we're trying to do. So yeah, right. I think bringing prior guests back in and talk about where they're at now and hone in on key conversations around that would be awesome. I think that's a great idea. Definitely got to bring Austin back in. Obviously, as everybody here knows, he's actually one of my business partners too. You were referring to Austin Cook, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, obviously both of our friends, but I wasn't sure which Austin you were talking about here. Yeah. And so he's a great person to have here about deal structure and financing and raising capital. I mean, we got a ton of people we can bring on that I think is going to be fun. So with that being said, guys, we wanted to keep this episode short. Wanted to make the introduction to Dan. Wanted to let you guys know that unfortunately Jesse obviously isn't going to be the co-host anymore. Nothing bad, no bad blood. We're still really good friends. He's just super busy growing his midterm rental empire. That we decided he was going to fall off because he just can't keep schedules and couldn't be on the show anymore, which all power to him, right? I want him to grow. When I first met this guy, when I first met Jesse, he was barely starting off, and then he kind of started growing and getting on his own and running down his lane in the midterm rentals, and now he's the midterm rental expert all over. So I'm excited to see his growth as well. I'm sure we'll bring him back on for a couple episodes, Dan, so we can have more conversations and kind of keep him in the loop a little bit here in the future and see how he's doing and how his progress is going. And guys, that doesn't mean we're not going to talk about short-term rentals and mid-term rentals. I know that's the majority of our audience. Please don't get shy and don't get scared away. We are going to continue those conversations. If you guys need me to, I will make another episode teaching you how to build your short-term rental empire. Very happy to give it all away again. Not a problem. But again, we just want you guys to have value out of this show with me and Dan going forward, because we have some good stuff planned and we have some exciting stuff planned. And I just can't wait to get going, dude. I think we're going to crush. We're going to make it seasons too. It's not going to be just nonstop. We're going to make seasons. Right. So we'll have season 1, season 2, season 3 at episodes at a time. So without going too much on a rant here, any final thoughts, Dan?
No, brother, you killed it, man. I appreciate the opportunity here. I think we're going to do, great things, and excited to see who all we're able to collaborate with and just provide value to the listeners and viewers. And let's just make it happen, brother.
Hell yeah, dude. And we're going to have we should definitely have a cigar moment on one of these episodes where we just go outside and smoke a cigar while we're interviewing. I think that'd be fun, dude. I can't smoke in my office, dude. It's annoying. I gotta set up outside, dude.
That's right.
Gosh darn it. So, all right, guys. Well, we're excited, looking forward to it, and hopefully we hear from you guys. Again, the email is thebigbreakshow2021@gmail.com. We'll put it in the show notes below. We hope to hear from you. We're serious about this. We want to take it serious, and we want you guys to take it serious, because we want to change your guys' lives, and we want to add value to your lives as much as we possibly can.
Yes, sir.
Peace, and we'll see you next week.